When you don't know what each character wants from the other in this specific moment, the dialogue wanders. It fills space. It sounds like people talking without being about anything. And yes, plenty of people do talk this way in real life, but that's not what we're replicating here. Writer Unleashed is for you, a writer who has a story you want to bring onto the page and into the hearts and minds of readers. I'm Nancy Panuccio, writer, editor, and book coach. Each week, we'll explore techniques, mindsets, and inspiration for writing stories readers can't put down. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now, let's begin. In my first attempts at writing fiction, and in my very first Gotham Writers Workshop in New York City, my teacher praised the writing itself, but had this to say: your characters never talk to one another. Why not? And the real reason was because I was avoiding it, and I avoided it for years. I never had my characters talk to one another because anytime I attempted to write dialogue, it felt flat. It felt false. I didn't know how to make my characters talk to one another without it feeling really awkward and just not real. And I didn't want to make it too real. I wanted to make it sound like story dialogue, but I had no idea how to do that. So why does dialogue feel so hard to write when conversation comes so naturally to us in real life? Well, here's what's happening. Usually when we have trouble writing dialogue, it's because we're writing the dialogue for the reader, not for the characters. And when that happens, your characters start saying things that no two people having a real conversation would ever say to each other. They explain things they both already know. They say exactly what they mean. They bare their soul. They tell each other the story. They recap the plot. So you want to think of it this way. You want your reader to feel like they're eavesdropping on a private conversation between two or more people. People who have no idea anyone is listening. The moment your characters start performing for the reader, that's when the dialogue starts to feel false and flat. So in this episode, we're going to look at 3 mistakes that break that illusion. Let's get right to it. Mistake number 1. Your characters are explaining things they both already know. So one character is telling the other character things that they would have known maybe from their past, for example. This is a very common one, and it's almost invisible when you're writing it because it feels so efficient. You need the reader to have certain information, so you hand it to a character to deliver. But here's the problem. Real people don't tell each other things they both already know. A wife doesn't explain to her husband how long they've been married, or that they have problems. A brother doesn't recap his sister's childhood back to her. The moment a character delivers information the other character would obviously already have, you've stopped writing a conversation and started writing information to deliver to the reader. And the reader feels it immediately, even if they can't exactly name why, because it's not an efficient way to tell your story, number 1, but number 2, it just rings totally false. Now, the test is simple. Would this character actually say this to this person in this moment? If the only reason it's there is because the reader needs the information, it doesn't belong in the dialogue. That doesn't mean you cut the information. It means you find a way to deliver it that belongs inside the scene. Maybe it's a slant. Maybe it's a hint of it. something revealed through what a character wants or avoids or can't quite bring herself to say out loud. Sometimes you want to get at what the characters don't want to say and get it at a slant. Good dialogue trusts the reader to put things together. It gives them just enough. That's not withholding, it's respecting your reader's intelligence. And it's one of the most important skills you can develop as a writer. So, number one, don't have your characters explain things to one another what they already know or would know. Okay, on to mistake number two. Your characters are saying exactly what they mean. They're being too direct, and real people almost never do that. Think about the last hard conversation you had. Did you lead with the real thing? Probably not. You circled around it. You said something else first and waited to see how the other person responded. We are at our most inarticulate when tensions are high, when emotions are high, when there's something at stake. People want things they won't admit or they don't know how to say. They feel things they can't say out loud. They approach the hard conversation sideways because going at it directly feels too dangerous, too exposing, too final even. When your character says exactly what they feel, the tension disappears. There's nothing left to wonder about, and the scene deflates. And this is where a lot of writers get stuck. They know what their character feels, and they want to make sure the reader knows it too. So they have the character say it, and it feels false. It's just not the way real people talk. The solution isn't to hide what the character feels. It's to find the oblique way in. What would this person say instead of the real thing? What do they talk about when they can't talk about what's actually happening? What are they afraid to say? That gap between what's said and what's meant or what's beneath the surface is where your reader participates. That's where they lean in. That's where they start to care. That's where the dialogue starts to feel true. Okay, mistake number three. The dialogue isn't doing anything. Every line of dialogue needs to do some story work. It should reveal something about the character speaking. It should reveal something about the dynamic, and it should shift the dynamic between the people in the scene. It should move something forward. If you can cut a line and nothing changes, the scene doesn't lose anything, and the characters don't shift in relation to each other. So that line is not earning its place. Cut it. This one is easy to miss because the dialogue might sound perfectly natural. Two people chatting, it's pleasant and believable, but believable isn't enough. Every line is real estate and you need to make it count. This shows up a lot when characters get together and they just recap what happened earlier. You don't need to do that. Dialogue that has no purpose is usually a symptom of something else. The writer isn't clear on what the scene is actually doing. When you don't know what each character wants from the other in this specific moment, the dialogue wanders. It fills space. It sounds like people talking without being about anything. And yes, plenty of people do talk this way in real life, but that's not what we're replicating here. It's not a transcript of what a real conversation would sound like. It's a balance between both. It should sound true, but it should also be shaped around the needs of the story in this particular scene. So you want to know what each character wants coming into the scene. What does each character want to get from this conversation? In every scene, The characters are in some battle for position. They want to get what they want out of the interaction. It can be playful. It doesn't have to be vitriolic at all. But whether it's playful or it's real conflict, something more explosive, that friction is what gives every line its purpose. And when you know what's at stake for each character, the dialogue sharpens on its own. Characters stop making small talk and start maneuvering. Every line they speak is in service of something that they want from this interaction. That's when the dialogue stops being filler and starts filling the scene. It starts making the scene. Now, all three of these mistakes come from the same place. The dialogue is written for the reader, not for the characters. So always go back to the characters. What does each one want in this scene? What are they willing to say? And what won't they say directly? How are they getting in each other's way? When you know that, the dialogue stops being information delivery and starts being two people who want something from each other. And that's when your reader starts eavesdropping and filling in what's not said. But let me leave you with this. Dialogue is not about capturing the way people actually talk. It's about creating the illusion of it. It's shaped, it's concentrated, and it's charged with what your characters want and won't say. So go back to your story, find a scene where the dialogue feels off, and ask yourself, am I writing this for the reader or for the characters? Is there anything here they both already know? Is anyone saying exactly what they mean or exactly how they feel? And is every line doing something in service of the story? Is there tension? Is there subtext? Now, you don't have to fix it all at once. Just start there, and you'll start to see your dialogue differently now. The goal is to make the reader feel like they're eavesdropping on a private conversation. So craft your dialogue for the characters, not the reader. If you focus on your characters, what each one wants, and how those desires clash, your dialogue will start to sound natural, but also be shaped and charged with the needs of your story. So there you have it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you know any writers who need some support in their writing, please share this episode or the Writer Unleashed podcast in general. And if you love what you're listening to, subscribe on your favorite listening platform. And if you're listening on Apple, please leave me a review. Reading how this podcast impacts your writing truly lights me up and helps me create topics for the show. Till next time, keep writing, and I'll talk to you soon.